So ever since I was a young child, I've always been a big mouth breather. In fact, I remember one time where I was in a car with my mum and a friend behind my seat, and I was literally just sitting there like this, breathing through my mouth just like that. And my friend, being the friend he was at the time, this goofy, this pretty funny guy, he pointed it out. He's like, "Why do you have your mouth open so fucking wide?" Obviously, he didn't say fucking because we were just children at the time, but you get the point. And I was struck by that. I struck so fucking hard that I remember it now after so many fucking years. And at that moment when he asked me that question, I was a little bit offended. I can't lie. I was a little bit offended. But it did strike me hard, and I instantly closed my mouth and tried using my nose again. But my excuse to him and my reason to him was that I could not breathe through my nose. At least it was hard to breathe through my nose. So now for a more recent story. Recently I've been sort of clogged in the nose so fucking hard that it pisses me off. It literally pissed me off so much one time that I honestly just blew as hard as possible, constantly, and grabbed the tissue and as hard as possible again. And honestly, this is such an annoying thing because I know from looking everywhere online that breathing from your mouth and not being able to breathe through your nose is basically considered a health hazard. Because there's so many benefits to breathing through your nose, like increased basically everything, increased cognitive performance, nitric oxide, your muscles, muscle engagement, how you feel, your happiness overall. Now, if you've tried things like a humidifier, buying more plants for your room, or maybe even a air purifier, but nothing has worked, then you may actually be experiencing the same exact thing that I have. And that is a weird combination of a illness. So I'm going to explain everything, right? A weird combination of an illness and you making it more inflamed by blowing it too hard. Essentially why your nose is blocked all the time and clogged, because I don't want to drag this video on too long, right? I want to give you the value straight away. Is essentially, it may be that you are actually blowing too hard into the tissue. You may be frustrated and you may be blowing too hard into the tissue too frequently as well, because this can cause inflammation in your nose. And when there's this inflammation in your nose, it's harder to breathe, and you may mistake that for more mucus and you may want to blow more, and then that becomes a negative feedback loop, a downward spiral rabbit hole into more and more shitty nose congestion. And honestly, the best way to fix this is to make it a lifestyle for a while, to make yourself breathe better, to try all the techniques like fucking putting this shit up here and like doing whatever. Just go on YouTube. I'll leave some links in the description below to the ones that help me the most. But essentially for a period of your life, so for example 3 days or some shit, when the sickness is gone, when your nose can breathe properly now, and that is when you can begin to stop doing the tactics. But for a period of time where your nose is completely blocked, it would do you insanely good to practice these tactics that they give you, this fucking weird thing, and like pinching your nose and holding your breath. If you want to blow your nose, you can get a tissue like this, cover both sides, and blow one nostril by itself for 3 repetitions, like that. And then do the same for the other one. And then don't have moderate pressure. Don't blow it too hard. Another thing you can try is actually a vapor rub thing, and honestly you don't have to apply this anywhere, but this is like such an old trick in Asian households. You literally just do this, like you apply it here, that's what your mum would do or something, but essentially you can just do that for a little bit, for like 5 deep breaths, and then they'll help you very, very much. And you can still hear that there is a little bit congestion in my nose. It's simply because I'm recording, and I don't know what it is with recording, but it just sort of, it blocks my nose a little bit whilst I'm recording, and as soon as I stop recording and wait for like a minute, my nose goes completely back to normal, going like that, except there's no congestion anymore. It's literally when I stop recording, there's no congestion at all. So that's a sign that there is still something there. There is still some inflammation and there is still some illness there. But generally, from all the tactics, I'll link in the description below. Make sure to go check those out. I think if you can just make this a part of your lifestyle, as in every single night or every single morning, just have a combination of all of those things combined, all of those like fucking tips and tricks and like holding whatever, just have that as a sort of morning routine thing for like 5 minutes just to clear your nose. And then from what I found is you've experienced so much relief, especially if you had a nose that you literally cannot breathe out of. You breathe as hard as possible and nothing comes out. Those tricks will help you significantly. And so essentially I've made this shit permanent. I've made a permanent solution to your blocked nose, and it's basically just treating it as a illness. This is the conclusion, right? Treat it as an illness that will go away in 3 days or so. During those 3 days, you want to have a established routine, either night or morning, or even better, both. You keep on doing these nose and breathing tactics to get the mucus out in a gentle way, and so that you can continue living your life without getting blocked. And another thing is, when you are doing all of those tactics, you'll probably get fucking Niagara Falls. Yeah, you'll get Niagara Falls from your nose, and you'll want to blow a tissue. Try to not blow as hard, have moderate pressure, and literally blow one nose at a time and for 3 repetitions, and then blow the other nose for 3 repetitions. And from what you'll find is probably that you'll start recovering. You'll start recovering your nose, and your nose will start recovering all the damage you've done to it from blowing too hard, etc. And just 2 more quick tips on how to breathe better is essentially, one is nose strips. In fact, I'll get you some right now. I have this shit, and I don't know, I got this shit from Japan, right? When I was in Japan, and I saw this shit and I was like, okay, I gotta get this shit. I'm pretty sure they have this in most parts of the world, but essentially if you just look at this, right? If you look at that, you sleep, you put this on your nose, and it apparently lifts your nose up like that, and then you become this woman, and then you can breathe a lot. And essentially that has been such a big help in sleep, because honestly I put it on and it's like fucking magic, bro. It's like a 30% increase in your capacity or your ability to breathe, and it just opens up your nostrils just like that. And it especially helps after doing all of those tactics of like doing this and whatever. It helps a fucking lot. Another thing is, one of the tactics I love the most is simply apnea walk, and this is like, I forgot his name, but it's by a guy called Buteyko, and he's like this Ukrainian breathologist or some shit. And you breathe in, you breathe out like normal, and then you hold your nose, and then you just walk around. You walk around for like 15 seconds, and then you'll feel this urge to want to breathe, right? And it may hurt a little bit, but after that 15 seconds, you get to sit back down. And then from what you'll find is that when you open up your mouth and you stop pinching your nose, you have to sort of breathe through like you have to breathe slowly. You have to breathe slowly through, sort of like imagining yourself breathing through a sippy cup. And then from what you find is that your nose literally just opens up, because it's like a survival instinct that your brain gives your nose. You have to open up because we aren't getting any oxygen. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, bro. In a bit.